Wilkie. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me here. I acknowledge we are gathered on Blackfoot territory, and I recognize the Métis people who share a deep connection with this land. I want to thank you for coming today. As you can see, we're in the process of setting up our fabulous new campaign office that will be shared between the Lethbridge East and Lethbridge-West NDP campaigns, and candidate Rob Miyashiro and me. Both Rob and I are ready to deliver better for Lethbridge, better health care, better jobs, better education, and more affordable living, and peace of mind after 4 years of chaos under the UCP. Few things worry folks more than Danielle Smith's plan to gamble with our CPP. Folks have worked hard for their CPP. It has come off our checks since our first jobs as teenagers. We need to know that that money, that is ours, will be there for us when we retire. This is all under threat by Danielle Smith and her candidates. The UCP continue to actively pursue a plan to pull Alberta out of the Canada Pension Plan. I was on the doorstep this weekend, and I probably had 40 conversations about this topic. It is top of mind for people in Lethbridge, right up there with access to health care. Now, the UCP are forging ahead with this plan to gamble with our CPP and take away our CPP, despite widespread polling that shows Albertans don't support this risky experiment. I, of course, am out there talking to people in Lethbridge pretty well every night, and I can tell you it's deeply unpopular, and the polling shows that too. Now, the UCP are doing all of this despite reports showing that an Alberta-based pension plan would cost hundreds of millions of dollars and would introduce a high level of risk to our retirement savings. This is just the latest attack on Albertans' retirement security. In 2019, pretty much at their first available opportunity with no consultation, the UCP dramatically restructured pensions for teachers, nurses, and other frontline workers. But an Alberta NDP government will take a different approach, a better approach. An Alberta NDP government, if elected in May, will protect your pension by law. We'll do it in a couple of ways. We will stay in the Canada Pension Plan. The CPP is the envy of the world, renowned for its management, sophistication, and reliability. Remaining in the CPP will save hundreds of millions of dollars that Danielle Smith would be forced to spend to start up and operate an Alberta pension plan. But we'll take it one step further. We won't just leave behind these plans to leave the CPP, but we will legislate protection of the CPP by passing a law preventing any Alberta government from leaving the plan. This is very, very important for two reasons. Right now, it's very, very difficult to change CPP benefit levels or the age at which you can begin to collect your pension. The Canada Pension Plan is unique. It's unique in the world. Changing the CPP is harder than changing the Canadian Constitution, literally. In order to change the CPP, you need the consent of 7 provinces representing 2/3 of the population. That means any change to the CPP is immune from rogue political risk. And if there's anything that demonstrates rogue political risk, it's Danielle Smith. The Alberta NDP will also back joint governance of public sector pension plans. This one's a little bit more complicated, but certainly teachers, nurses, and others, firefighters, and all frontline workers who pay into their pension plans want to see that we will guarantee them a voice for around the table for those investing their retirement savings. Public sector pensions will be given representation on our investment management board. And if investment performance in the long run is not satisfactory to those workers, we will allow those plans to leave Alberta's Investment Management Corporation. I know this is important for teachers and many other hardworking public servants, custodians, firefighters, everyone down to your rural county clerk. This will undo the damage already caused by the UCP and the potential damage Danielle Smith may seek to cause in the future. And third, we'll do even more for Albertans' retirement security. We'll move actively to we will actively move towards building retirement security for those that work in the private and nonprofit sectors, where folks sometimes don't have access to any sort of pension plan whatsoever. We've proposed creating a task force to develop a model for allowing the private sector, and in that I mean the for-profit and not-for-profit sectors, to voluntarily establish their own workplace pensions using some of the expertise and resources of Alberta Pension Services Corporation as the administrator and the Alberta Investment Management Corporation, AIMCO, as the investment manager. AIMCO and APS are tools we have used to help build world-class public sector pensions, and now is the time to make sure that those tools can be used by the private sector to do the same. We've heard from many organizations who want to deliver workplace pensions but are too small to establish them properly. If we could expand some of these private sector pension savings through this model to 100,000 more Alberta workers, it would cost the Alberta government only about $17 million, but it would be transformative for the retirement security of so many Albertans. And crucially, especially in times like these, it would help employers attract and retain workers. It just makes sense to explore it. It's a big idea for our entrepreneurs, our job creators, and workers to give us a leg up on other jurisdictions. We have too much risk for our pension security right now. Albertans are worried, and people in Lethbridge are worried about the Danielle Smith and the UCP gambling with their CPP. But the Alberta NDP will protect pensions. We'll return control of pensions to Albertans, and we'll work to expand pensions to as many Albertans as possible. Thank you, and I'm happy to take your questions.
Thanks, Shannon. We'll go to questions on the phone soon. We'll just start with any questions in person.
Hey, Ryan Clark with the Lethbridge Herald. So we've heard Danielle Smith say her reasoning behind wanting to pull out of the CPP is that for years Albertans have been overcompensating, like overpaying into it compared to the rest of Canada. But if we start our own pension fund, wouldn't that mean we just walk away from all the money we've put into it and start from scratch?
Certainly there is a pension liability that Alberta would have to pay into the CPP in order to leave. It's a several-year long process, and there would be no guarantee at the end of the day that the money that each and every one of us have paid in over time would be returned to us with the same benefit level. There's no guarantee that we would be able to get the kinds of investment returns that the CPP has been able to get with their $500 billion of assets under management. There's no guarantee that we might be able to retire for a couple of years in British Columbia, return to Alberta, work in Saskatchewan for a little while, and then retire here in Alberta. That element of portability would very likely be lost. It would cost us hundreds of millions of dollars in liability, in the liability of what's owed to us right now. It would cause incredible anxiety and instability. And there would be no guarantee of pension level outcomes that we have with the CPP right now, with the just the fact that the fund is so massive, and it is so difficult for provinces to make alterations, or the federal government to make alterations to the CPP. So there's no question that Danielle Smith has a plan to gamble with our retirement. There's also no question that Albertans rightfully oppose that plan, and I've heard that over and over again here in Lethbridge. Danielle Smith is also trying to hide those plans. She says that there might be a referendum sometime in 2024 on the topic of the future of our Canada pension plan. In my view, the referendum is on May 29th, and the only way to protect our pension and our CPP is to elect a government led by Rachel Notley on May 29th.
It was just on portability. She answered that. Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions in person? All right, we'll go to any questions on the phone. Just a reminder for those joining us on the phone to use the *9 function, and for those joining us on Zoom to use the raise hand function to get into the question queue. And with no questions on the phone, we'll wrap today. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.